The spectacular launch of the Hope by Logan fashion line was supposed to be a triumphant, empowering declaration of independence. For a woman who had spent her entire life operating under the heavy, suffocating shadow of the Forrester family legacy. Instead, this bold corporate defection has ignited a catastrophic, multi-front war that has left the Forrester and Spencer families in absolute, smoldering ruins. The runway was a blinding success, with Deke Sharp's brilliant, youthful designs perfectly capturing the essence of a modern, liberated woman. The fashion media was instantly captivated, completely ignoring Eric Forrester's highly anticipated return to haute couture and focusing all their flashing cameras on the newly minted star of Logan Creations. However, beneath the glittering surface of this massive professional victory, a deeply personal and emotionally devastating storm was rapidly gathering, preparing to strike the young visionary when she was at her most vulnerable. Hope Logan Spencer stands at the absolute epicenter of this catastrophic fallout, navigating a treacherous landscape of shattered relationships and bitter corporate rivalries. Having just executed the most shocking corporate defection in recent Los Angeles history, she has been universally branded as the ultimate traitor by the Forrester family. Eric, Ridge, and Steffy Forrester Finnegan have all united in their furious condemnation, viewing her departure not as a business decision, but as a malicious, calculated attack on their family's empire. Yet, the most agonizing blow came not from her former employers, but from her own mother. Brooke Logan Forrester, shattered by what she perceived as an unforgivable deception, unleashed a terrifying maternal rage. Brooke violently smashed a monitor at the Logan offices, officially disowned her sister Katie, and delivered a devastating ultimatum to Hope, culminating in the shocking eviction of Hope and Liam from the cabin on the Logan estate. The psychological toll of this brutal, unprecedented rejection pushed Hope to the absolute brink of physical and emotional collapse. Just as the chaotic dust begins to settle on the spectacular runway debut, a new, deeply personal, and life-altering shockwave hits Hope with the force of a freight train. Amidst the dizzying highs of her professional triumph and the agonizing, suffocating lows of her mother's rejection, Hope discovers a truth that will alter the trajectory of her entire existence. She is pregnant. The sudden fainting spell and the severe panic attacks she experienced in the gallery, initially attributed to the crushing stress of the corporate war and Brooke's vicious disownment, are suddenly cast in an entirely new, terrifying light. This miraculous revelation of new life could not have possibly come at a more turbulent, chaotic, and emotionally dangerous juncture in her life. The timing is a literal nightmare, transforming what should be a moment of profound, quiet joy into a catalyst for overwhelming, paralyzing anxiety. Liam Spencer's reaction to the pregnancy news is one of unadulterated, overwhelming, and fiercely protective joy. Having just witnessed his wife endure the most traumatic emotional abuse at the hands of her own mother, Liam views this unborn child as a beautiful, much-needed beacon of light piercing through the dark, toxic clouds of the Forrester-Logan feud. He is absolutely thrilled at the prospect of becoming a father once again, envisioning a growing, happy family safely insulated within the sprawling walls of the Spencer mansion, far away from the toxic influence of Brooke and the Forrester clan. Liam desperately wants to celebrate this miracle, believing that this baby will provide Hope with the ultimate reason to keep fighting, to build her new empire, and to sever the painful, lingering emotional ties to the people who have so callously cast her aside. However, Liam's euphoric, optimistic celebration stands in stark, agonizing contrast to Hope's rapidly spiraling internal panic. While she loves Liam and has always cherished the idea of expanding their family, the reality of her current situation crashes down upon her with suffocating weight. Hope's mind races with terrifying, catastrophic scenarios regarding her fragile new career at Logan Creations. She has just signed a massive, life-changing contract with Katie and Bill Spencer, positioning herself as the sole face, visionary, and driving force of a multi-million-dollar fashion brand. The ink on the contracts is barely dry, and the expectations placed upon her shoulders are astronomically high. Hope is acutely aware that the fashion industry is a notoriously unforgiving, fast-paced world that demands absolute, unwavering dedication and limitless physical energy. Hope is terrified that her pregnancy will be perceived as a massive liability by her new corporate partners and the unforgiving fashion media. She fears that Katie, who took a massive, calculated risk in poaching her from Forrester Creations, might secretly doubt her ability to lead the brand while navigating the exhausting physical and emotional demands of a pregnancy. Furthermore, the agonizing estrangement from her mother casts a dark, suffocating shadow over the news. Hope is facing the daunting prospect of motherhood without the guidance, support, and love of the woman who raised her. The realization that Brooke might not be there to share in the joy of her grandchild, or worse, that Brooke might view the pregnancy as just another complication in their fractured relationship, tears at Hope's already fragile heart, leaving her feeling profoundly isolated and completely overwhelmed. Across town, within the hallowed, currently scandal-plagued halls of Forrester Creations, another powerful woman is fighting a desperate, dark psychological battle of her own. Steffy Forrester Finnegan is drowning in a suffocating sea of guilt, trauma, and breathtaking hypocrisy. Steffy's recent trip to Monaco ended in absolute, catastrophic disaster, culminating in a furious, tear-filled confrontation with her husband, Finn, over his secret, dangerous pact with the psychotic Sheila Carter. Feeling utterly betrayed and terrified for her family's safety, Steffy threw her wedding ring at Finn and fled back to Los Angeles in a haze of alcohol, heartbreak, and severe PTSD. Seeking refuge in the Forrester CEO office, she found herself bonding with a grieving Carter Walton, who was devastated by his wife Daphne's sudden departure to Paris following a severe infertility diagnosis. In a moment of profound vulnerability, shared grief, and heavy intoxication, Steffy and Carter crossed the ultimate, unforgivable line, engaging in a passionate, steamy affair right there in the executive office. Waking up naked beside the Forrester coup left Steffy paralyzed by the monumental magnitude of her infidelity. The desperate, panicked pact of silence she subsequently forged with Carter is a fragile, trembling shield protecting her marriage to Finn, who has since returned to Los Angeles begging for forgiveness. To mask her suffocating guilt and to desperately deflect from her own monumental, marriage-destroying sins, Steffy channels all of her dark, volatile, and erratic energy into a ruthless, vindictive crusade against her longtime rival, Hope Logan Spencer. When the explosive, highly sensitive news of Hope's pregnancy inevitably reaches Steffy's ears, perhaps through a leaked medical document, a slip of the tongue by a Spencer employee, or her own sharp, predatory intuition, Steffy does not offer a single ounce of congratulations or maternal empathy. Instead, Steffy's eyes light up with a dark, calculating malice. She views this unborn child not as a sacred blessing, but as the ultimate, serendipitous strategic weapon to permanently dismantle the Hope by Logan brand and utterly destroy Hope's professional reputation. Steffy's mind, sharpened by years of ruthless corporate warfare and currently heavily poisoned by her own intense self-loathing, formulates a vicious, multi-pronged plot to ruin her rival. Steffy intends to orchestrate a devastating, highly coordinated public relations smear campaign against Hope. She plans to use her vast media contacts and industry influence to leak carefully crafted, damaging narratives questioning Hope's physical stamina and mental stability. Steffy will maliciously argue that Hope, having just suffered a highly publicized, traumatic estrangement from her mother and the entire Forrester family, is already psychologically fragile. By weaponizing the pregnancy, Steffy aims to paint Hope as a weak, overwhelmed, and highly hormonal woman who is entirely incapable of handling the immense, crushing pressure of launching and running a flagship fashion line amidst a bitter, high-stakes corporate blood feud. Steffy wants the investors, the buyers, and the public to believe that Hope by Logan is a sinking ship helmeted by a distracted, physically compromised designer. This ruthless, cold-blooded strategy is a breathtaking masterclass in psychological projection. Deep down, Steffy is the one who is deeply mentally unstable, buckling under the agonizing weight of her secret affair with Carter Walton and the looming, terrifying threat of Sheila Carter's relentless obsession with her family. Steffy is projecting her own profound feelings of inadequacy, guilt, and impending ruin onto Hope, using the corporate war as a convenient, socially acceptable outlet for her raging internal turmoil. By systematically attacking Hope's capacity to be a mother and a CEO simultaneously, Steffy is desperately trying to convince herself that she is still the strong, infallible Forrester matriarch, entirely ignoring the fact that her own marriage is built on a foundation of devastating lies and fresh infidelity. As Liam Spencer desperately tries to shield his pregnant, highly anxious wife from the incoming artillery fire of Steffy's vicious PR campaign, the Spencer and Logan families must prepare for a brutal, unforgiving defense of their newly established empire. Bill Spencer, who is highly amused by the Forrester family's outrage and deeply invested in Logan's success, will undoubtedly unleash his own ruthless tactics to protect his daughter-in-law and his financial investment. Bill will likely advise Hope to lean into the pregnancy, spinning it as a narrative of empowerment, strength, and the creation of a beautiful new legacy, directly countering Steffy's malicious attempts to frame it as a debilitating weakness. Katie Logan, fiercely protective of her new lead designer, will have to navigate the treacherous waters of corporate damage control while managing Hope's fragile emotional state. Hope, meanwhile, must summon a level of inner strength and ferocious, unyielding resilience she has never before known. She is no longer just fighting for the success of a clothing line. She is fighting for the survival of her legacy, the financial future of her growing family, and the fundamental right to define her own narrative in a ruthless world that constantly seeks to tear her down and define her by her mistakes. The crushing weight of Brooke's absence will make this battle exponentially harder, as Hope must learn to mother herself and her unborn child without the safety net she has relied on for her entire life. She must transform her paralyzing anxiety into a driving, unstoppable force, proving to Steffy, to the Forresters, and most importantly, to herself, that she is more than capable of having it all. The irony of this escalating situation is both palpable and profoundly tragic. While Hope is actively nurturing new life and attempting to build a sustainable, empowering brand from the ashes of her past, Steffy is actively destroying her own life from the inside out, consumed by vengeance and the desperate, terrifying need to hide her affair with Carter Walton. Both women are operating under immense, almost unimaginable pressure, but their coping mechanisms could not be more divergent. Hope is terrified of failing her family and her career, while Steffy is terrified of the truth coming to light and obliterating the picture-perfect life she has fought so hard to maintain. The impending, inevitable collision between these two powerful, desperate matriarchs in training will undoubtedly shatter whatever fragile, lingering remnants of peace exist in Los Angeles. The battle lines have been definitively drawn in ink, fabric, and blood. Steffy's relentless, hypocritical campaign to destroy a pregnant Hope will push the Forrester-Spencer war into unprecedented, deeply toxic territory. If Steffy succeeds in weaponizing the pregnancy to ruin Hope by Logan, she may win the corporate battle, but she risks losing her soul in the process, further alienating herself from the moral high ground she so desperately claims to occupy. Conversely, if Hope can overcome her crippling anxiety, harness the fierce, protective energy of impending motherhood, and successfully navigate Steffy's treacherous traps, she will emerge as an unstoppable force in the fashion industry, forever cementing her independence from the Forrester dynasty. The stakes have never been higher, the secrets have never been darker, and the fallout from this explosive chapter will resonate through the generations of these warring families for decades to come.